What hobby will you never understand? No limits free diving. For those who don't know what no limits free diving is, let me explain. You take a deep breath and go down to extreme depths with a weight, 100 to 170 feet, and then go up by inflating a balloon. If that balloon does not inflate, then you just die. Why would anyone risk their lives to do that? Train spotting. You often see them at the end of platforms in the UK, writing down the serial numbers of trains coming through. I think it's dumb because 1. There aren't any rare trains just kicking about randomly. It's all the same commuter trains every day. What's special about watching an 8 commuter train roll into Swindon? 2. There are still a few steam trains still going, but you can literally book experience days on them. Why not just go do that? 3. Jobs on trains are well paid and usually don't require a degree. If you like trains so much, just get a job driving them. Football, not American, but that's up there too. I'm talking FIFA Premiership football sticker book. Now mind you, I was guilty of this too, and the fucking trading of stickers you had versus needed was pure addiction, and coming from the family I made money from it and would get 2 interested parties bid for the item and the highest bid won. Bodybuilding. I'm not talking about working out and eating healthy. I'm talking about the extreme variety, where people monitor inane statistics like how much protein you should eat, which protein shake is optimal, how much water you drink every hour, your body fat percentage, etc. I prefer to just live a healthy lifestyle and let a better physique come in its own time. Getting lost in all the mathematics and biochemistry of it is just soul-crushing. All of the bicyclists who ride around the suburbs in full sponsored spandex outfits, there's no other sport where that's acceptable. I would be laughed out of the gym if I showed up to play some hoops in a full matching Lakers uniform. I have a nice Cannondale I ride a couple times a week to try and stay in shape. I wear a shirt and running shorts with my padded shorts underneath. You work in accounts receivable, Dan. You don't need to shave your legs to ride your bike on the weekends. Riding horses. My wife is an equestrian and I just don't get the appeal. Like, okay, you sat on that horse while it moved for a while. Are we done here? But it's fine. She doesn't get why I like competing in strongman competitions either. I do understand horse ownership though. They are sweeties. Dog. Horse shows. I see nothing amusing about making an animal run around and jump on command, let alone do I understand getting together in groups to do this and judge the animals based on how well they jump or how inbred they are. The whole thing is just weird beyond belief. My dad collects junk. He goes to estate and garage sales to spend money on things he doesn't want, need, or intends to use. His house is just full of unrelated knickknacks. They pile up on shelves, in closets, in boxes. He even bought 2 storage buildings last year to accommodate the amount of overflowing crap. He knows he won't ever touch the stuff and that it's all worthless, but he can't go anywhere with junk and just not buy something. Here's a good example. Last year he went to the drugstore and bought me the cheapest, shittiest Halloween mask I've ever seen. It was 2-3 weeks after Halloween. And I'm 36. I told him that I can't handle storing any more of his junk and that he should take it with him. He said he thought I would like it. Why? Well, it was on sale, so I bought it. He says it's a hobby, but I think it's a mental disorder. K-pop stans. What the hell is so special about the most forgettable, repetitive, soulless corporate music I've ever heard? It's got as much soul artistry to it as elevator jingles, but for some reason a shitload of Zoomers seem to go ape for it. Not really a hobby, but riding roller coasters. Tried many of them before. I even tried one of the scariest in my country. I just can't seem to get any sense of fun out of it. It's just shitting your pants for 10 minutes straight. The adrenaline rush doesn't make me excited. It makes my ape brain scared for their life. Trolling. Not trick trolling or silliness. but people who seem to just enjoy causing others distress for the fun of it, like posting images of horrible mutilations, or sending anonymous hate to members of an online support group. Child beauty pageants, more specifically people who have this borderline pedophilic idea that they need to force their 5-year-old to get all dressed up and go on stage to be gawked at by a bunch of old men and feel no sense of disgust with their own exploitative use of their kid that could have had a more respectable talent that they actually chose to do. Maybe I just don't get it, but there's something slightly menacing about the whole practice. Watching influencers on any platform, I don't get the idea of watching someone play video games or live stream their life like it means anything. Granted, I understand how to videos, and if you have a specific person who provides good results with what they do, but people like Shane Dawson, Anishan, Mr. Beast, Gabby Hanna wanna be Demi Lovato, and etc. Just to put a few names out there, I don't get why people find that content entertaining. It's like fog for the brain. All it does is dampens reality, and that's shitty cause there's a lot of cool stuff in front of you if you pursue it. Knitting/crocheting/needlepoint/cross stitch. I have tried all these hobbies and don't get it. They're more frustrating than relaxing, and I would rather paint, read or play a video game. My husband says cross-stitch is a really slow download of an image that ends up looking pixelated. Haha. I don't know if it's classed as a hobby, but shipping, I just don't get it. Maybe I'm showing my age, but I don't understand how anyone can get emotionally and intellectually interested in two characters hooking up as partners. There are fights and battles and drama over this shit. As far as I'm concerned, it's a major sign that we as a society have too much time on our hands. Obvious answer, but trainspotting. I mean like actual trainspotting, not heroin. I used to travel a lot for work, and they'd always be hanging around the train stations taking pictures and writing random shit down, and I don't even understand what it is they're actually doing, let alone get the appeal. I realized a long time ago that I'm into things that others probably find ridiculous, so I try not to judge anyone else. I'm into arcade games. I've built my life and business around it, and I go to a lot of conventions. I was at some big convention center, navigating to whatever exhibit hall I was supposed to be in, when I got into an elevator with a gentleman pulling a cart with several large Rubbermaid containers with holes drilled all around them. I was pulling my tool bag to work on games. He looked at me with a smile and said in a heavy southern accent, "You here for the reptile show too?" I responded, "Nah, arcade games." He then smirked, smiled again and said, "Oh, that's cool, we're all weirdos, ain't that the truth?" Sometimes I would pass by my brother's room and I would catch him just sitting there in the middle of the room in his sofa that he had in his room, eyes closed, and everything turned off. He says he likes to take a minute and just settle every once in a while. I'll never understand him, lol. The way certain guys who are really morbidly out of shape, and have poor hygiene, collect knives and ninja swords and pose with them for pictures, like they are some kind of really cool tough guy or something. But if they actually tried to use the thing in a combat situation, they would probably collapse from exhaustion in a few seconds. Dancing. I will never understand it, especially when they constantly post videos of themselves doing their own choreography in their living room or whatever. I love dancing at the club and parties, but the fanatic, obsessive dancing never sits right with me. People who treat pet ownership like it is a hobby and not a job. You can't just get a dog and expect it to be well trained right off the bat. That shit takes constant work and reinforcement. People who treat their dogs like things that exist only for our amusement shouldn't be pet owners. They can be amusing, sure, but they require so much love and attention, and often even training reinforcement. A pound dog could take years to get to a state that could be seen as well behaving. People just don't realize this about animals. I use dogs as the example here, but other animals require lots of work as well. Those Franklin Mint series of every junky thing under the sun, China figurines, dolls, paintings, commemorative plates, coins, worthless scrap, and folks will spend thousands upon thousands, then when they die, their survivors can't even give the shit away. I actually don't understand my own hobby, collecting video games. You can play most any game on a modern console in some way or on Steam, and this doesn't even touch on other methods of playing games. This is way easier than playing games on old hardware. There is the nostalgia factor, but the amount of work to keep old games running is insane. Something is always breaking, and it's only getting worse as the consoles age more. For the amount of time I spend fixing games and cleaning games so they actually work, I could be playing them easily through another method. People who free run off of heights and tall buildings and film themselves doing it, the second-hand anxiety is so real and I absolutely cannot watch them. People are so talented for having the balance and stamina to do so, but it is terrifying. One wrong move and you hit the ground from X amount of feet high. Shoes. I mean, having more than like 3 pairs of shoes seems excessive to me. I knew someone who owned likely over 100, but hey, I own thousands of same-size cardboard cards with cute little monsters on them. A hobby is a hobby. Might not count as a hobby, but making entire YouTube channels devoted specifically to hating a certain franchise or even just a moderately popular YouTuber, I mean, it gets them views, so I guess there's a market for the content. That being said, if you hate something so much, just don't watch it. Instead, they obsessively look at every detail, desperate for something new to hate. Compared to all the other ways a person can spend their time, this just seems unhealthy. My own hobby: every time the alarm goes off while it's still dark out on my day off and I get up and drive 2.5 hours to carry either ropes or basically a mattress through the woods, then put on shoes 3 sizes smaller than my street shoe size and climb rock that requires I put all of my body weight on a single toe, cut up my fingers and fear for my life. I love rock climbing, horseback riding, any and all kinds of riding. I've been in the sport for 20 years and I'm an instructor and have 3 personal horses, and I spend so much money and time on a hobby where the thing you do is get on a 1,200-pound animal who is scared of leaves on a good day and costs upwards of $20,000 a year to keep, and then go to shows to be judged by people to win a ribbon that costs $1. There are so many days where I get on and I can only think about how rare it is that I haven't been killed yet by one of these strange creatures. Tried to live without them for 2 years of my life and will never not have them again. I don't understand it, and it's probably the dumbest thing ever, but there's nothing else that can compare. For me personally, it's collectors, not even a specific kind, just the idea in general. It just does not resonate with me. Items are meant to be used. Either you have way more than can be used at one time, or you have all these items that will never see use because it will ruin their condition. Sneakerheads. If that could be considered a hobby, I'll never pay for than $120 for quality shoes and boots. I'm not knocking it, just don't understand dropping stacks on shoes that sometimes never get worn. They all look the same to me after a certain point, but everyone has their thing. Going out to clubs to buy overpriced drinks and dance. I don't get the appeal of alcohol and have poor coordination and body image, so the idea of enjoying drinking and dancing in a public space is utterly lost on me. Fishing for sport. I understand fishing to eat, but sitting there for hours pulling creatures out of the water only to look at them, take a picture and throw them back is pretty mind-boggling. Like, why? I don't get it. I get the furry hobby more than I get sports fishing, and how's that even a sport? Not really a hobby so much as social practice. Marriage. I don't think I'll ever get married. I don't know if I can muster up the amount of self-importance it takes to just be like, look at me, I'm in love forever now. Like I used to be that guy, but now my family doesn't even talk to me on a regular basis anymore, and all my friends are weird and mismatched group of ragtag individuals. I remember going to all my siblings' weddings and all the people that were there are friends and family, and it all made sense. And then I think about the people in my life and I'm like, holy fuck, these guys barely give a shit about me and they're all different as hell. Not to mention, like, whoever I fall in love with is probably guaranteed to have like way more similar people. I'm probably selling myself short, but fuck man, I'm just a weirdo. Not to mention all the planning and bullshit people have to do. Like, I'm a super structured person. You want an event? Cool, I'll knock out the plans in a day or less. It's so fucking weird to me that people take weeks to plan that shit. Like I don't give a fuck. I wish it were for me. I really do. And it's very depressing that it's not. But I'm just not that guy, and I can't fathom being him either. Trolling. I get it as an occasional decision, because sometimes people need to be taken down a peg, but as a full-on, actual pastime, come the fuck on. People, how pathetic is your life? Cars and sneakers. I bought a pair of New Balances for $30 like 2 years ago and they still work just fine. And when I get a car, I'm getting the most boring, fuel-efficient piece of metal I can find. I won't shit on anyone for their obsessions, but man, I just don't understand why people lose their minds over cars and shoes. Camping. Why in the fuck would I work all the time, get a week or two off and then willingly live a lifestyle in which everything become more difficult? My hard-earned time off, I want to be comfy and relaxed and chilling, but camping is relaxing and chill. No, it's not. I could list things forever, but the bugs, the uncomfortable sleeping, the wet and cold or insane heat, the increase in difficulty cooking or using the bathroom, etc. Why the fuck would I make my life harder as a hobby? I just don't get camping people. I know this will get downvoted. Video games. I just can't understand why people would want to spend so much money and so much time playing video games. I can understand someone playing on occasion, but if it's a few hours a day, I just don't get it. To me it seems like most people who play a lot of video games are lonely and trying to escape real life, but if they didn't play they would develop more relationships, get healthier and build a life they don't want to escape from. If people are happy doing it, great. I would never judge someone, especially for doing something that is making their life better or making them happy. I just personally can't understand it. Shoe collecting. That show Jeff Goldblum did an episode on major shoe markets. People were saying they saved up thousands of dollars for a single pair of sneakers that they will never wear. It's not that I think it's a waste of money, I just don't get the value in a pair of shoes. The whole self-mutilation thing. Implanting donuts in one's head or horn bombs, splitting the tongue down the middle, stretching out giant holes in various parts of the body, etc. I don't understand, but hey, you do. Lawn care. I'd rather have a forested backyard with ferns and shit, or a big multi-layered garden, rather than have a whole empty stretch of grass like you see in some backyards. Edit. I don't think I made myself clear. I'm not ragging on people who take basic care of their lawns. Hell, even I do it to keep ticks away. It's not personally preferred, but in the US we're stuck with swaths of grass. I'm talking about the people who manicure their lawns and put fancy patterns in it. The ones who get fancy rideable mowers and are super into mowing their lawns. When I see yards like this or this, I don't think, wow, what a nice backyard. I instead think about all the habitat and local flora that had to be bulldozed to make all that wasted space, not to mention the water issues these things bring, and even then, large swaths of just grass are visually uninviting for me. I don't want to hang out in these spaces. Now, if there were some raised flower beds for a garden, some bird feeders and paths, or some mature trees to sit under, then the space actually feels alive and comfy. spelunking in remote cave systems. Through crevices you must exhale thoroughly to somehow squeeze through. Read about John Jones's death in the Nutty Putty caves, if curious and not claustrophobic. Shoe collecting and trying to keep them in pristine condition when worn. It just seems excessive buying 20 pairs of shoes that cost at least $200 each. I know that's what most hobbies are like, but still. Edit. Grammar.